Welcome to the Boozy Blondes podcast.
She's Molly.
And she's Chrissy.
We're best friends on a quest to bring you all things boozy.
Let's get lit. Pop,
Fizz,
clink, let's drink.
Welcome back to the Boozy Blondes. Today's episode is all about Coppertail Brewing Company.
So Coppertail Brewing Company is in Tampa, Florida, in the Ybor area. First, we have to talk about our dough because, unfortunately, it's not Coppertail. We drank all our Coppertail when we got home.
Not contain ourselves because we liked our Coppertail so much.
We brought a couple crowlers home, which we'll talk about later, but they're gone.
Yep.
So we're recording this episode. It's November 21st, 2021. And guess what just came out?
Funky Buddha's Last Snow.
It's our favorite. Well, it's one of our favorites.
Yes.
Funky Buddha Last Snow. And I don't think we didn't get any last year. So we have gone 2 years without drinking this beer. So Funky Buddha Last Snow is a porter with coffee and natural coconut flavor. I'm telling you, it tastes like a smashed up blended Girl Scout cookie.
Yes.
What one? The Samoa?
The Samoa.
The one with
exactly
the coconut,
like.
chocolate, caramel. Oh my gosh.
It's the
This
best.
thing is awesome. So anyway, that's our dough.
Yes, so if you are drinking along with us, enjoy your beverages and don't forget to drink when we say, yeah, our husband's name
Or anything in unison.
Okay, so I have never been to Coppertail before. This was my first time, but you've been, right, Mol?
Yeah, so our friends Tim and Maura actually got married during COVID, and they had their ceremony and their reception in Coppertail. They have an upstairs event area.
How cool.
It was so fun. It's such a great space, which you now know. You saw it. So Coppertail is the #1 independent craft brewery in the state of Florida. Fun fact.
It was absolutely stunning. I was blown away. And first of all, I already think getting married at a brewery is really cool. And then when I saw this one, it's definitely above and beyond your typical brewery.
Mm-hmm. They have 20 taps. They have wine.
Yeah.
And they have food, and that food.
The food is so good.
My gosh, we've talked about how important food is when we're drinking, and Coppertail's food. I feel like it's kind of like when you go to a wedding and people say, "Yeah, the wedding is great, but do you remember the food?"
Yeah.
That rarely happens, right?
Well,
so you remember it. Breweries, they always have great bar food, but Coppertail's food is amazing.
Well, and I like it because we got a little bit of the history about how they ended up having a full kitchen there. And they used to have this food truck that was so popular that they ended up wanting to do like a permanent space, and they built them a kitchen. And then, I don't know, something happened where they just kind of went separate ways. So then Coppertail ended up having this whole big, huge kitchen. So they brought in a crew to kind of just make this incredible gastropub. It's just not bar food. It's incredible.
When we got there. So Richard Glatt, who is a sales rep for Coppertail, met us there, and he had ordered all this food for us. When
He's
we got
an angel.
there.
He had food waiting.
Because we had a 3-hour drive after a long day of work. Oh, sorry, that was loud. After a long day of work. And he knew we were on our way, so he had all this food prepared for us and just said, go up to the bar, get whatever you want. You guys sit down, hang out, have fun, enjoy.
It was a blast.
Yeah, so what did you drink, Chrissy?
So we just like dove straight in and got a flight, and I've learned to just ask the bartender what their recommendation is, because I just said I love sours, I want to do a flight, what would you recommend? And she goes, try them all. So I was like, oh my god, they have enough sours that I can do an entire flight. I'm already gonna love this place.
Yes,
so,
very dear to our heart, those sours.
Oh my gosh, and they were all really good. So my favorite was the rum honey grapefruit Florida Vice. It's only 4%. It says it's got a lot of lime, grapefruit, and honey, aged in a rum-soaked oak staves. It was my favorite drink we had all day, and that's what Rich's wife was drinking. She said that was just something she could drink all day.
Kathy's like, I've been here since 8 a.m. and I'm fine. I'm kidding. She wasn't there that early, but she had been, I think, there since after work, like 5:30 or something, and it's just an easy day drinking beer.
Yeah, it's very well balanced. It wasn't like super tart or anything. And then we got Day Swim, which was my second favorite. And those were the 2 crawlers we took home. But the Day Swim is 6.1 alcohol by volume, and it's a coffee porter. It says our night swim porter with Buddy Brew coffee and vanilla beans added. Coffee forward, which complements the roast profile already presented, and a slightly creamy body. So I was loving reading all the descriptions as I was doing research for the show because you don't see that. Like you just walk in and you see the menu and you see the names. And I just look at what type of beer it is and the alcohol content. And I'm like, all right, that'll work. So it's cool to see all the research that goes into it.
Yeah, and descriptions. Mm-hmm. Was that your 4 on your flight?
Oh no, I'm getting distracted. I'm drinking. So that. Actually, day swim wasn't even part of my flight, I don't think.
No, it was mine.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to share a flight because I was sick.
Yeah.
Or I had been sick. And even though alcohol kills everything, I didn't want to share my germs. So we each had to get our own flight. Yeah, actually, a couple you have on your list there. Those are mine.
Yeah, we crossed over. I think I just looked at the photographs and then started writing down everything we drank.
Yeah. That's okay. Keep going.
So, between the two of us, we drank all of these. The other one was the Sunken Grove Sour, the fruited Gosa. That one was super tart.
Yeah. I think Rainer he said he got lockjaw after he drank it. It was so sour. But that's Mara, the bride from the wedding. That's her favorite. When I was up at the bar choosing my flight, I had Zeus Cordeiro, who's the general manager of the tap room. He was describing all the beers to me that I was asking about, and he said that one was like a warhead.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, if you don't like that much sour, maybe you should avoid it. He said, I love it because I liked eating lemons as a child.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, that's enough. I did not, so I'll pass that one. But I forgot I had drank a lot of that at the wedding.
Yeah, that was it was good. It was start with it first because if you start with the more mild ones first and then go to that, you're like, whew. But then I got Return of the Carolina Scorpion.
No, you did not.
You did? Who
got
that?
Me.
See, oh my God, you guys.
See, this was another Zeus and his very eloquent descriptions. And this was probably the hottest beer I ever drank. There's ghost pepper in it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I never would have ordered a pepper beer. I know better.
Well, I didn't read about it. I just listened to Zeus.
You let me try a sip of it before you started.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. The description says that it has cocoa nibs and ghost peppers in it.
Yeah, but Zeus said not so much pepper, whole lot more cocoa nibs. Nope.
And
not
it's
for
really
me.
Strong. It's 12%.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's a stout.
Yeah.
But yeah, really strong stout.
Yeah,
okay.
That one I did not love. I love the uniqueness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
It paired well together. I was just kind of like, okay.
Oh, no, it was a very flavorful beer.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it,
and
though.
also we were mixing it with sours. So that's a lot right there.
Our poor palates.
Yeah. And then there was the rum passion fruit lime sour. Or is that the one that's Mara's favorite? Because I said Sunken Grove sour.
Oh, wait.
Sunken Grove is the citrus gosa. The rum passion fruit lime is the passion fruit lime sour.
No. Oh, maybe that.
They're both very tart.
Mara, I'm sorry. Now I'm screwing up your beer.
Yeah, Mara, we're probably going to have to put you in the Cheers and Beers episode where we apologize.
We'll get this straight. In our defense, we've been drinking for a little bit, so we're a little fuzzy.
But then we also, one of the two of us, or maybe the both of us, tried the Mexican guava Frank sour.
Oh, that
one was good.
That was mine, yeah.
That was the Florida Vice with Mexican guava.
Oh, no, that was yours.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was yours.
But see, this is why we normally will split a flight, so that way we're all talking about the same things. But I think we got some crossovers because we got a lot of sours. You got talked into the spicy Carolina Scorpion. But I think both of us just love that day swim.
So Mara's beer is the rum passion fruit lime sour. I just got a call in. No, I had the Sunken Grove, and I know I did not have the rum passion fruit lime sour. So that's the warhead one. Yeah. Apologize for our confusion here.
So good, though. I loved all of them. If anywhere I can get an entire flight of sours, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they all taste different.
And the boys got totally different stuff because Rainer and Phil were there. Drink. I don't even know what they got.
I don't remember either, but like I said earlier, there's 20 beers on tap. So you have quite the variety to choose from.
And they were all Coppertail, right? They weren't guest taps at all.
Yeah.
Which that's really impressive. And I just want to talk about how beautiful this place was. Like, I was running around like a kid in a candy store. I came out of the bathroom and I'm like, Ma, look at these sinks.
Yeah.
They were like golden swans. They
Swan
were
heads.
so beautiful. And so it's 2 stories. So there's even a bar upstairs, and you can see into the brewing facility from both levels. And upstairs, there's also an outdoor balcony, which was really cool.
Yeah.
It's just a really impressive building.
It really is. And the mural outside.
Yes, the artwork everywhere.
That you see on most of their cans, the art, it's beautiful.
So also there's this beautiful copper mural inside, and it has like a big kraken painted on it. And the bartender told me that was taken, like salvaged from a ceiling in an old building in Ybor.
Oh, wow, really?
So, I mean, the whole place is just so cool. And when they were like digging everything up, Zeus was telling us that they used some of like the old railroad ties that they found. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, the building used to be an old Hellmann's mayonnaise factory. I just love all this weird history. I don't know. It just made me love the place and the beer even more.
I mean, who doesn't love Hellmann's?
Right.
Actually, probably a lot of people don't like mayonnaise, but who doesn't like beer? Now this building has been repurposed for two great things.
Yes. Canning all kinds of things that are better than mayonnaise.
That's right. So we actually were able to take a tour.
Yeah.
So we'll go into that in just a minute, but I wanted to go over a couple more fun facts about Coppertail before.
Well, I mean, before we even get into that, I mean, we didn't even say why we were there.
Oh.
This was Rainer's birthday.
Right. I forgot. Sorry, Rainer. So for his birthday, Rainer wanted to go to Busch Gardens, which you only need one day to go to Busch Gardens.
And I'm sure you've already heard the Busch Gardens episode. If not, definitely check it out because we had a great time there.
Yeah, for their beer fest.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, Rainer, great idea, because they had a beer fest. And of course, all the rides, everything Busch Gardens offers.
He just wanted to do the one thing. And we're like, how many cool Boozy Blondes things can we pack into this weekend?
Right. So we thought, well, when we get there on Friday, why don't we go visit Coppertail Brewing, see if we can take a tour. And then on the way home, why don't we stop at Keel Farms?
Yes.
Which is another episode
coming up. But yeah, so that was really cool because we went there because Rainer wanted to, and it was a great pick. And so he knows Rich, right? That's how we got the amazing opportunity to go tour the brewing facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rainer and Rich have been friends for a while, so...
That was really
Thanks
fun.
again, Rich, for hosting us.
Yes, thank you, Rich. That, like, seriously was probably one of the coolest brewery experiences of my life.
And thank you, Kathy, for hanging in for so long, because I'm sure you've been on that tour a million times.
Know. But that was a blast. All right, so before we get into how cool the tour was and all these cool things we got to interview Rich about, let's talk about fun facts about Coppertail.
Okay, you want to start?
Well, yeah, I think I already kind of like ruined it because I was so excited that my first fun fact is it used to be an old Hellmann's mayonnaise factory. But I mean, I don't know how fun this is, but it's a fact. It opened in 2014.
That's a fun fact. Okay.
Fun fact. Another one is the founder and CEO, Kent Bailey, doesn't come from the brewing world. He's actually an attorney, which I thought was pretty cool.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, I guess I assume everyone comes from brewing in one way or another.
Right.
What else do you got?
I have that they're really big into giving back to the community. So if you visit their website, you can see all of the different groups and associations and causes that they support, and you can put a request in too. They really enjoy and are happy to give back to the community that supports them.
That's really cool. And I think we already said that they're the #1 craft brewery in the state of Florida.
Independent craft brewery in the state of Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, Rich was very adamant on that exact term. Yeah. So another fun fact is they have a Beer It Forward program. And so you can send a token to a pal and buy them a beer for a future visit. I love that.
That is so cool. Oh, we have to do something with that on the show, like some sort of giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
If you leave a review on this episode.
Okay.
Maybe we'll
get some tokens. I guess you have to be local or
planning to visit.
Plan to come around Tampa area.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay, so this I thought was awesome because I always love knowing the stories behind things. And so the name of Coppertail, I mean, the logo's really cool. It's all very nautical. And so we were asking, where does it come from? Because they have like really cool art on the taps of this like big fishtail. Mm-hmm. And so we asked what the story behind the name was, and we got that the name comes from Kent's daughter, who made up a story about a giant fish monster that lives in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And there is like an entire legend, backstory, all this stuff that goes with it. I freaking love that.
I do too. I think that's fantastic that they developed the whole folklore behind their namesake.
I mean, they should do an entire book about the Coppertail. I think that'd be so cool.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes. An illustrated brew journal.
Mm-hmm. They already have a great artist. So.
Yes. We talked about them having an amazing full kitchen that was originally started by their super popular food truck. Oh, and then that you can get married in the event space, which you talked a little bit about. Where was the wedding? Upstairs, downstairs, everywhere?
Yeah, it was upstairs. Just upstairs.
Okay. That's cool because you can keep it kind of private that way.
Yeah.
And you can look down into the entire brew room and see the bar and everything, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Were you guys out in the balcony too?
I wasn't, but other people were, yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, I have 2 more.
Okay.
You have any more?
No.
All right. I'm fun facting it up. Hopefully they're right.
Oh, you're killing me with these fun facts.
I know. I did my research on this one.
Mine are quality. Yours are quantity. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, fact check this. This might be on the apology episode. It says they are the first brewery in the U.S. to have a volumetric filler for their canning line, which Zeus was very adamant about that. And I loved learning that. Like, we got to see where they do the canning on the tour, which I thought was just really cool. Mm-hmm. It looks like a giant mousetrap.
Mm-hmm. Like the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they kind of showed us how it all works and everything. And then Zeus came and was like giving us even more facts and telling us how that like is just so much more efficient because there's less beer waste and all the cans are filled exactly the same and they can really just
quality control.
Yeah. I mean, you can estimate how much you're going to fill. So you know exactly. So I thought that was awesome. I don't know. That was
I do too.
Nerdy. Mm-hmm. And then they said that their 2 biggest sellers are Free Dive and Unholy, and you can get them in any Publix in Florida. If you don't see them, it's already pre-approved. All you have to do is ask your Publix customer service team to order it in for you.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And good for Coppertail.
And I've seen both of those around a lot because I think Phil drinks, which one's the IPA?
I think he likes the Unholy.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that one in our beer fridge.
Okay, cool. So, as we said earlier, we were able to go take a tour with Rich. So, if you'd like to stick around and enjoy our tour and learn a little bit more about Coppertail, we're going to play that for you right now.
Yeah, and it's with Richard Glatt, and you will learn all about his amazing history as a sales rep at Coppertail. And then Zeus Cordeiro, who's the general manager of the Coppertail tap room, is going to stop in and give us some more fun facts too.
Mm-hmm. I think he had as many fun facts as you just spit out.
He rattled them off. Maybe that's where I got so inspired. So we hope you love our interview and behind the scenes tour of Coppertail as much as we did. This is a great time to take a break and grab yourself a drink and listen to the rest of the interview.
All right. Cheers.
Richard Glatt. I work for Coppertail. I'm the Orlando, Daytona, and Stewart area sales rep.
That's awesome.
Cool. How long have you been in this position?
I started with Coppertail in April of 2020.
Whoa, right at the start of COVID, basically.
Right at the start of COVID. Wow. I actually accepted the job with Coppertail in February of 2020. And I worked for a distributor in Orlando that distributes Coppertail. I decided to leave that distributor and work for Coppertail, which started in February. I put my notice in on my birthday, March 2nd, and gave my 2 weeks notice at my distributor. And COVID hit, and my distributor kept me for the entire month of March, which I was worried that I wasn't going to have a job at Coppertail, but my family at Coppertail said, no, you have a job and you're coming to work for us. So best decision I've made in a long time. Great company, and started April 7th, 6th. I don't know. One of those days I started with Coppertail. So I've been here for a year and a half.
Wow.
But I've been around this brewery since its inception. We started a small tap room in the beginning as a proof of concept. And built this facility. I wasn't around for the original tap room, but I was here for grand opening night, which was before I was actually working for the distributor selling the beer. So, huh?
And when did it open?
Oh,
Year, month?
2014?
Wow. It's grown really fast.
2014, 2015, beginning of 2015. I'd have to go back and look exactly. I know that we've been in business for like 8 years, but like this production facility didn't open for a little while afterwards. We had the other building over there, which is the offices, and I'll show you the original tap room through the tour. But we were just a small tap room, and literally the original system is around here somewhere on a rolly cart.
That's so cool.
It's like a 10-gallon system.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's around here on a rolly cart. I'll find it somewhere walking through here, and I'll show you. I'm like, oh, there's our original system. So, yeah, and it was all proof of concept.
Did they start as home brewers and just it grew into something?
No,
or?
so our founder and CEO, Kent Bailey, was he's a corporate attorney. His father was a corporate attorney, and he came in and was doing law work, and decided that he kind of wanted to start making beer. He got in touch with a fellow by the name of Casey Hughes, and they built a brewery together. Casey was our brewmaster up until June of this year. He left the company for personal reasons to start his own company. He's doing consulting now, but him and Casey, so Kent and Casey started the brewery and started planning everything, developed recipes, got everything going. So, yeah.
That's awesome. This is a huge facility. This is my first time here, so I was not expecting it to be this humongous.
Yeah, we Kent Bailey decided that he wasn't going to start small, and he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to do it tiny. So he went for it, and there are some people that are invested in the company, but Kent Bailey is owner operator of this brewery.
So when you were working for the other distributor, at what point did you know I want to go work for Coppertail?
So when I worked for the Reyes Holdings, when you're working for a distributor on the distribution side, you know, like I know a lot of people that I've known that have left distribution to go to supplier side, which would be working for a distributor. You'll have a couple breweries in mind that you would leave to go work for, and Coppertail was always number one on my list. So when I was at Florida Distributing, I was the number one salesperson for Coppertail in that area. So that was always one. I always felt at home here. Every time I come here, I always walk in the back door. I'm like, hey, what's up? I've always been treated very nicely. So like this was where it was home.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so when the opportunity presented itself to actually come work for them, I was like, oh, 100%, I'm going.
Yeah.
So.
I have one more question though.
Yeah.
Just with the whole in the industry and the different positions, is it typical to go from a distributor to a supplier? Is that kind of the
path?
Yeah, of the career?
Some people start at supplier and then end up a distributor. Some people go distributor and end up a supplier. It just depends on like kind of where you see yourself. With my personality and my mentality and personality was much better suited for supplier side than it was distributor side. And I, to be perfectly honest, I kind of got in the game a little late. I had an entire 17-year career in the computer industry before I even got into beer. I started with homebrewing and started volunteering at a local brewery in Orlando, and got to know everybody in the beer industry in Orlando because of that, and ended up getting offered a job to go into distribution side, which to me was the better path. I got to work with all the suppliers. I got to learn the breweries. I got to learn the path. I got to learn how different breweries interact and work with their distributors, which led me to go, oh, yes. And I worked for Reyes House, which Reyes Beer Division, or Reyes Beverage Group, as it's known, is the largest distributor of beer in the United States. So, yeah.
So you went from largest beer to largest Florida.
Number one
Number one.
independent craft
That's right.
brewery in the state of Florida. That's where I went.
Drink to that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Cheers. So are there any other questions?
Yeah, do you still do any homebrews?
No. My actual last, what would be kind of considered a home brew took place right here. I brewed a batch of beer on the original pilot system.
Oh, that's cool.
With Maura.
How was it?
With Maura.
With Maura.
Maura and I brewed a batch of beer with Mike, which was an assistant brewer at the time, which is the head brewer, I believe, for Magnanimous now. Magnanimous?
Oh, yeah.
Brewery? Yeah. So, we did it on the original pilot system.
What'd you brew?
We brewed a light IPA. Yeah,
it
was
good?
We actually kegged it off and sent it over to FTC, and we sold it into like Will's Pub, and we had a kind of a Coppertail.
That's cool.
We brewed this beer night.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
drank
cool.
it. So yeah,
How
it was fun.
fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, but so tour stuff like brew house. This is where you make them. This is our boiler back in here, in that room. So that's what makes all the hot water for us, all the steam, anything we need for all that good stuff. Behind this door is our grain mill. So all of our grain is crushed down here, comes into these tanks here. This is a German-made system. This is a Rolex system. It's actually the exact same system that Terrapin uses in Athens. It's a 50 barrel Rolex system. Custom built for us by specs and designs from Casey Hughes. It's a 4-vessel brew house. I'm obviously a fan of the Rolex system because they make great brew houses. But yeah, there's Premier Stainless is one. There's a bunch of systems. Some of them are in the United States.
So do you guys do collaborations with other breweries?
We've done very few.
How does that work? How do you bring it in here and brew it here?
Yes.
Okay.
And no.
Yes and no.
Sometimes it's been done at other locations. Sometimes it's done here. So we did a collaboration. Our most recent collaboration we did with Glatt Brewing out of Orlando. But Taylor, the brewmaster there, started up here and was an assistant brewer, and then left and took head brewing position over there. So they did a collaboration with him. We brewed the beer here.
So when you do a collaboration, you brew it all in one location, or is it like from two different?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
There have been collaborations with other breweries before where they will brew the same beer in several different locations,
okay.
and then send it out. Yeah, send it out, and then you can get the flavor profile from each brewery.
Right.
Like, because every brewery is going to have a different flavor profile. Like, regardless of the same recipe and everything, but once it goes downhill, and you'll get different flavor profiles. So
that's interesting, because then if you really like it, you're going to go try it at each location.
Correct. Well, and like if it's the same recipe at every location, then yeah, you can try it and you can try to pick out the differences.
Right.
Yeah. So all of this from right here all the way back is all part of the brew house. So hot liquor tank, cold liquor tank. So it's just hot water and cold water. So this is a big water heater, basically.
Gigantic.
And this is cold water here. That's all it is. So, and so that's 180 barrels. A barrel is 31 gallons of beer. So basically 2 kegs. So a half barrel keg is a half barrel. So the amount of water that you can fill that tank with will fill, 100 or 360 of those small or the big kegs.
Wow.
That's how much water's in that.
That's crazy.
But we use during brewing, so you use hot liquor and you use cold liquor. You use cold liquor to knock out. Knock out is when you're cooling down the beer to try and pull it into it and put it into a fermentation tank. So that's actually right there is the heat exchanger. This big piece of equipment that's sitting right here. That's a heat exchanger. Hot beer goes in one side, it gets cold off, it brings out the other side. So
I'm like trying to wrap my brain around how home brewing turns into this.
It's, as being somebody that has homebrewed and I've worked in production in a brewery and then now sell beer and understand all this equipment, it is very daunting to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like I look at it and I pick out all the things and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a grant pump, and oh that's I know why those pipes are covered in white plastic over there, and I know what that blue thing is coming out, and I know why that shape of that thing is the shape. We could spend 2 weeks in here, and you would start to get the concept of like, why is that, and what's this, and who's that, and where, you know. So, right behind you over here, this is our keg washer. Basically, it's a one-man operation. He cleans all our, like, somebody will come in here and clean kegs.
Wow.
They go in the machine, they run caustic and acid. You run a caustic solution, which caustic is a salt derivative, kills anything that's living, and then you go back with phosphoric acid, and it cleans everything out and makes it sterile.
How long does it take for one keg to be cleaned?
Not very long. No, caustic works almost instantly. You know, if you ever get caustic, like the reason why the safety glasses are up there is you never want to get caustic in your eyes because you'll go blind. It's nasty stuff. Phosphoric acid you can get on your hands. It'll turn red and might sting a little bit, but it's not too bad. Phosphoric acid is in like Mountain Dew and Coca-Cola, so hence the reason why you can pour it on your battery terminal and get the corrosion off.
Or make your pennies clean.
That's phosphoric acid. That is exactly it. But it makes for a sterile environment to put beer in. So, and then they're purged with CO2. Well, purged and filled with CO2. So you won't get anything that grows in a CO2 environment. So, yeah. So, once we're done brewing the beer, it moves down the line, and these are our fermentation vessels. You can tell they're fermentation vessels because the conical shape right here. This is where the wort at this point is pumped out of the system and moved down here. You'll introduce oxygen at that point and yeast. So
does everything run up and over and down?
Typically, it's going to all be on the.
Bring hoses in.
It'll typically all be on the ground. Like we have pump in areas. They're going to be on. Watch your step, but
it smells so good here.
So this will be a pump in, pump out situation right here, and this is a blow off valve. So this whatever beer is in here is done fermenting. So, as you introduce oxygen and yeast into the situation, if you understand the fermentation thing, so yeast eat sugar, because basically all you're doing is making a sugar solution, and then you're introducing yeast to it. The yeast eat the sugar. They put off CO2 and alcohol. So they eat alcohol, CO2. The CO2 obviously escapes and comes out. Alcohol remains in solution. So, depending on the beer, it can spend anywhere from 6 to 18 days in these tanks until it moves on to the next process.
So when we were homebrewing at home, obviously, I had the fermenter bucket in a closet, and I was doing a stout, and it blew the lid off.
Yep.
This is why we don't homebrew anymore.
And all the foam went all over her jackets.
It was in like our winter jacket closet. Yeah.
So I got turned down from.
I was like, we don't homebrew anymore now.
Yeah. Kathy will explain. Kathy can tell you a story about we brewed a super high alcohol imperial stout at my house, and we got it and we put it in the fermenter at the house when we were home brewing, and airlock on there, put it inside of a drop freezer that we had a Johnson control on, so we nailed it at 68 degrees because it was an ale and that's where it needs to be. Put it in there. In the middle of the night, the airlock got clogged and it blew the top off the 6-gallon fermenter.
Yeah.
Opened the drop freezer. everything in the living room that was in that little
Oh
area
my
got
god.
painted with
Yeah.
Imperial Stout, and then the top closed. Now it's, as Kathy explains, it sounded like a shotgun going off, which I can imagine it probably was that loud. She flew out of bed. Myself and my roommate at the time, Tim, drunker than Cooter Brown, didn't hear a thing.
Oh my god.
Nothing. She flew out of bed, but yes, I think there's still some stout under one of like a couple of my blinds at the house. Where
Yeah, I don't.
Look at it like,
So I don't know
there
if
it is.
the airlock like got
Memories.
I don't know why. it
clogged,
happened.
like you're saying, like that built the pressure, or if it just couldn't release enough.
Well, because as the yeast starts to go to work, especially if you've got a lot of sugar in there or something like that, they'll really go to work, and you'll get a volatile like sometimes you'll see these buckets
They're bubbling.
that are like foam up to here
Yeah.
and bubbling over and running into the drains, and just go blah, 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 you know. And I don't know if particulates from hops or whatever, because you haven't filtered the beer at that point.
Yeah.
So you have hop particulates. You might have some grain left over that you didn't get strained out or something, and something just got in there and like it
'Cause-
built up pressure. Went boom.
That was our first stout. We didn't have any trouble with
No,
like
we didn't have any trouble with the first
blondes and the ales.
2 or 3. We did a couple blonde,
Yeah. And that, of course, is the only one we put in the closet because he's like, oh, it needs to be
No,
like,
they were
dark
all in
and
the
cool.
closet.
Were
Yeah.
they? Never again.
That was the darkest, coolest place we had.
That was
So
where
I-
the Boozy Blonde started. We were his Belgian blondes.
Belgian blondes.
Helping him.
I had to, so with brewing beer, it's temperature. You know, it's like
And it's hard in Florida.
It's like real estate. You know, like location. With beer, it's temperature. If you go over 5 or 10 minutes here, or you forget to add a hop here and add it a little bit later, and you boil for, you go into boil for 75 minutes instead of 60 minutes, you're like, oops. But your mash in temperature needs to be spot on, because if you're over, you're getting alpha amylase. If you're under, you're getting beta amylase. You need to be right in the dead center to get the right sugars out of that grain when you mash in. When you go into fermentation, if you're 70 degrees, it's going to taste like fucking bananas. If it's 65 degrees, you're not going to get the yeast utilization that you want to actually eat the sugars correctly, and you'll typically end up with a sweet beer.
Yeah.
So you have to so it's temperature. If it says 154 degrees, hit 154. If it says 68, hit 68. Yeah, so all these tanks here are just fermentation tanks. So your 5-gallon or 6-gallon buckets that you had in the closet that popped, that's all this is.
Giant version.
These are just 250 barrels. So 500 half-barrel kegs are in this can be in this tank fermenting.
Do you do the canning here as well?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there.
Oh,
This is all just the making of the
the
beer.
making. All right. And do you do any of the barrel aging?
But we're going to walk through there as well. Right here, this is our filtration system. Not a lot of breweries get to use this. This is kind of a big boy brewery kind of thing. This is a centrifuge right here.
I know what this is.
And when this thing is running, there's a reason why there's earplugs, a box of earplugs over there. It spins about 100,000 RPMs, and you can actually strip color out of beer when filtering with this centrifuge.
Would you want to do that?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes you'll actually brew the beer to a darker color because you want to filter it to a certain, you see how
Yeah.
clear this beer is? It's because it goes through a centrifuge. It goes through a centrifuge, so you actually have to know how to brew the beer to get it to what color you want, what alcohol you want, knowing that it's going to go through a centrifuge, because you can strip flavor, color, and alcohol out of it.
Do all beers go through that?
Not all of our beers.
Okay.
A lot of our beers go through it. Some beers you don't want to. So a big barrel aged stout or like a big imperial stout, you don't want it anywhere near this thing.
Okay.
You'll run it. You
You
will.
want to keep that flavor in there.
You can cold crash the beer in here and pretty much clean it up in a cold crash in here. Or some breweries will use something called biofine or isinglass. Biofine is a product you can put in here, which is a coagulant that'll grab along the particulates, make them sink, clean them out. Beer's pretty clean. So you'll get a lot of beer sometimes where you'll get the last pour in the keg, and you get like it's super cloudy and just not filtered. There's nothing wrong with the beer. It's just particulates that settled at the bottom of the keg. So
How do you always have a fresh beer every time I see you?
he just walked down.
Yeah.
That was
sneaky.
clever.
It's in there.
But you were paying attention to me, and I was paying attention to him. I was like, this motherfucker's going in for a goddamn fresh.
Beer.
Rich, what do you want?
No, I'm literally, I'm fine. I am going to keep sipping on this until we're done. So
You know these girls, they make you talk a lot.
Yeah.
So these three tanks right here. These are the three of our four bright tanks. So a bright tank is when the beer is done over here. It might have gone through filtration. It might not have. It goes into this tank. You notice there's no cone on the bottom, just flat. So it goes in here, and this is the first time we introduce it to CO2. So we start carving the beer up to make it actually carbonated to go into packaging. So a bright tank is a packaging, so it's going into the next level of its journey down the line. You were asking about some of our barrel aged stuff.
Oh my goodness, look at this. Cool.
So this is our this is where we keep some of our barrel aged stuff. So we've got our fooders here.
That's
and-
the big ones?
Yeah, those are fooders.
They're
yeah.
beautiful.
So those are our fooders that we've used for a lot of stuff over here. We keep all that stuff. So one of the things that we do is we keep a positive air pressure in that room over there because we do have Brettanomyces in here. We do not want any Brettanomyces to go into that side of the brewery. So we keep a positive airflow in there. So there's always airflow coming this way, not that way. Because we do have Brettanomyces in here. As you can see, this is a Brett beer right here. There's a Brett Saison, there's another Brett Saison. We've got some stuff sitting around here. So,
That's so
this
cool.
is where we leave our beers. We've got a few more on barrels over here. But this is where we keep any of the buggy beers like that. Our like the honey grapefruit that you had in there, that's a kettle sour beer. That's not a Brettanomyces beer. Kettle sour beer is when you use lacto, not lactose, lacto, to change the pH of the beer in the kettle to give it a sour flavor, to make it tart. That is Brettanomyces. It is a yeast strain that is similar to making like vinegar. So those are like if you get a Brettanomyces type sour, those are the expensive ones. That's when you're talking like Cantillon or Rodenbach or Old World, like Belgian sours. Like they use Brettanomyces, and it will get into the walls, it will get into everything, and it will infect the beer up line if you're not careful. So we have to keep the positive air pressure from there to come this direction.
Yeah, I've
Did I
heard.
miss what the big
It's a fooder. It's a fooder. So they use those in a lot in old school, like old world breweries. So in Belgium and Germany and stuff like that. They also use them in the wine world.
Yeah, I've
They
seen them
use
do like
fooders.
ciders and wines and those.
It's literally a big barrel that has stainless steel hoods and attachments on it. I mean, you can see it's just sitting on wood right there.
It's so cool.
It's a big ass barrel. Yeah, it's a 15 barrel, I'm guessing by the size. I think it's
Like
a-
original brewing equipment. back
yeah,
then.
it's like a 15 barrel barrel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a big, huge barrel that you'll fill it up. Of course, you get the wood flavors out of it and gives you a place to store it and like do all that stuff. And Brettanomyces can sit there and do things.
Well, I was gonna say I've heard that some breweries don't like to make their sours in the same room.
Sometimes they won't make them in the same facility.
Yeah.
So if you go to if you go up to Asheville and you go to like say Wicked Weed or something like that, you go to Wicked Weed in downtown Asheville, they'll serve you a sour and pour it to you.
Yeah.
But they don't make any of them there. You have to go to the Funkatorium, which is across town. And yes, it's because of that, because it will infect if you're not careful with your airflow or how you're doing it or where you have your Brettanomyces. It will go back and then it'll get in your tanks, and then all of a sudden you got a freaking infection in your lines.
Yeah.
Because it's evasive. It gets into the wood. It gets into the ceiling. It gets everywhere. So.
Does brewing in Florida affect it anything different than brewing anywhere else in the U.S.?
Oh, 100%.
Because our humidity is insane down here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the reason, our temperature variance can go up and down quite a bit. So, but it really only affects like barrel aging and stuff like that. You know, like when you go a little further north, when you have the temperature variance, and you like, you know, a 25-year bourbon, but then you can go down to like Honduras and have a 5-year rum that has the same characteristics, only because it's been through so many temperature variants, and it goes in and out. I told you we would find it somewhere. I told you we would find the original system somewhere.
This is it? Oh, it's so cute.
Yes, and I have brewed on this system, but there it is.
So how many beers can you make on something like this size?
This is like 10 gallons.
You were saying this was the
original.
what they started on?
Yeah.
We could put this in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
you can buy. Me and Jay looked into buying one of these.
Yeah?
Similar.
Actually, these are. I think these might be 20 gallons. So, yeah. So you're like a 20-gallon system. Usable at the end, 15. So a half barrel keg is 15.5. So yeah, you can brew in half barrel keg in one sitting. And the crazy thing is it takes the same amount of time to brew on this system as it
the
does
giant.
on that system.
That's what's crazy. Yeah.
It actually does.
Yeah.
It actually this will this.
labor in this guy.
Now,
I have
do you
brewed.
guys?
I have
you guys do ever any like test brews
all the time.
on a small system like this?
All the time.
To like, hey, let's try flavor profiles.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, before you make a big production of it.
Yeah, yeah, of course, we like everybody does that. You know, it's like you know, like you try out your ribs on the smoker before you do like 15 pounds for a
family
holiday.
gathering.
Yeah.
You're like, is my recipe like spot on? You know, like of course you try it out. So the crazy thing is like,
But is that what you use? Do you still use
oh, yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, it's still in operation. I think that looks like there's a new pump and looks like somebody just installed a new pump on it. Derek, our maintenance guy. This is his section. Tell by all the tools and like welding equipment.
Yeah.
Looks like he probably just put a new pump on there, like the transfer pump on there today. So, yeah.
We had actually lent it to Total Wine for a while. They used it for part of their display for a couple months or something. Yeah. Yeah. And so when they handed it back to us, part of it was broken, and it was like, Derek,
no.
Please fix
Yeah.
this.
Please, sir.
Where does the mousetrap ride start?
Come on. So everybody's been to a brewery that has a crowler machine where they put one thing in there and it spins it around and puts the top on it. Well, there's a whole bunch of them in this machine.
Yeah, cool.
So they come in here and they get fed around and they get capped and they get crowned and then they get sent back out this side. Where they come over here and they go through a rinse and get washed and they go into the packaging area over there.
So how many cans will you do when you run?
I don't know.
Do you do like just certain days or canning days, or how does it?
I know that this machine was bought off of a brewery in Italy.
Wow.
Yes. I don't know how many it produces, but ideally when we run a tank, we will run it until it's done.
Yeah.
So you package the whole thing off. Now, in our production manager Josh makes a decision depending on orders in the system and how our distributors are ordering beer. How much is going to be in a half barrel? How much is going to be in a slim? How much is going to be in a 16-ounce can? How much is going to be in a 6-pack? How much is going to be in a 12-pack? So he has to break up that tank into orders.
Yeah. Wow.
This is our production cooler, and this is what's going out and being delivered in the market. So obviously you see 6-packs, 12-packs, half barrels, slims. We have Florida Special Bucks cans over there, and they're all labeled with what date.
When you open this thing, it should be like, oh. You just need to have that like sound effect.
Yeah. So yeah,
I think you just made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is and all this, and to be perfectly honest, all this beer will be gone by Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah, like it'll all be out of here. Hey.
Do you guys do any special bottles at all? Like, you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, so we do
like the-
rarely. We have, but we
750s
rarely
or
do.
whatever.
We actually won't do any more 750s. We'll actually do the 375s, which are the slightly smaller ones, and it's because we have a cork and cage machine. But to do those, it's literally, there's like 6 heads on it. It's 6-head filler, and it's us like Here we go.
it's-
Here we
it's
go.
all
Fucking
man-type.
cork.
That's why they cost $20 a piece.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like
that's the
they're
whole thing. You're
expensive.
definitely
Like,
paying for that labor cost.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a few fun things about the canning line.
Yeah, what else you got?
We actually are the
Probably.
first brewery in the U.S. to ever have what's known as a volumetric filler, as opposed to a counterpressure filler. Most breweries have what's known as counterpressure filler, and what that is basically means is counterpressure filling. You're going to have a probe that's going to go into your empty can. There's a little sensor on the probe. Once the liquid hits that sensor, it's going to stop filling. It's going to pull that probe out. What we do different with volumetric filling is we actually decide the amount of liquid that goes inside of each can. So where that becomes helpful is the consistency across the board. The very first can that's filled off of our canning line and the very last can are going to have the same amount of liquid in it. That seems like it'd be a no-brainer, but it's actually not something that happens across the board. Most breweries, you'll find, you pick up a can, squeeze it,
you
pick
get
up the
a
next
little-
can,
yeah.
it's going to be slightly different. That's huge for us when it comes to quality assurance, quality control.
Is that
Our
because,
lab
like-
guys are going to take care of it and actually be able to find, like, hey, these 3 cans have something wrong, this whole batch is going to have something wrong because we know they're all the same. So a lot of this is rebuilt. Everything you're in right now, we rebuilt from the ground up
Oh, yeah, it's
because
all
the
new.
original warehouse was run down, shitty, and we were basically told we couldn't do anything with it. We got it inspected, and the guys who came out and inspected were like, yeah, you can totally brew in the space. You just have to redo the ceilings and the floors. And we're like, isn't it cheaper to redo the whole
everything,
thing? And they're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, it's going to be way cheaper to redo the whole thing. We're like, that's what we're going to do. So we had to. But this area right here, actually, where we walked past the photos, is the last part of the original building.
Really?
Original building was about 100-year-old original Hellman's mayonnaise factory. If you look at, if you find pictures of this building from when it first opened, there was literally a massive sign that went over the whole fucking thing that said Hellman's mayonnaise. It was massive. I really wish it was still here when Kent got the building. 'cause
You
I
need to
guarantee
do
you it
like
would
a
still be here.
mayonnaise beer.
Oh god, I hope we never do. I really hope we never do.
It was also a pickle factory at one point.
It became an
Ooh.
olive canning facility. It became a newspaper printing press. It was one of the buildings in Ybors where trains used to drive through to load and unload. And we found that out on accident, actually. So whenever you go back to the bar, this is one of my favorite things in this whole fucking
I
building.
love telling this story.
Look at the footrest on the bar. It's a railroad track. We got the railroad track from our building. When we started construction, they started tearing up the concrete. We're like, hey, we're hitting metal. What is this metal? And it's like, it's going all the way across. Like, maybe we should actually look at this. And it was a railroad track all the way down our fucking building. We're like, we're using it. The brick from, so you guys are about to go into the temporary tasting room. The brick all over the floor, some of the brick from our patio as well, all came from the very back of our property. 27th Avenue, which isn't a real street, was covered in brick, so we were able to pull all that up and reuse it. Beams holding up our second floor, so whenever you go back into the tap room and you're sitting down, you see red beams that look similar to this that are all holding up our second floor. A lot of them are from the original building. If you actually look around, you'll see some of them that say like, okay, really big on it, because it's from our construction guys, like, this one's good, that one isn't, this one's good.
This one's still load bearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this one won't kill anybody, so it's fine.
God.
So yeah, a lot of other
That's
fun
really
stuff. We
interesting.
tried to. I think that was a big thing with Kent. He knew he was going to be putting a brewery in Ybor, which is the historical district of Tampa. There's a lot of awesome history in this area, and he didn't want to just put this new building that didn't fit and was kind of whitewashed and weird in the location. So he's like, how do I fit the Ybor theme? And
Yeah.
that was always the idea, kind of building it up, the industrial look, the old brick, the exposed concrete and everything. That was always kind of the mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a lot of other fun stuff that we built in this building for future growth, which I think is really cool. So when Kent was first opening, he walked to a lot of other breweries and he was like, if you guys could open your brewery today and do something differently, what would you do? And they all told him the same thing. We're like, go big. Go as big as you can, because if you make a good quality product, you're going to need the space, and it sucks to move.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, good point. So he did a few things. Not only did he get a massive fucking brew house, Casey helped a lot with that, he did this is one of my favorite things. If you look up, this is a big, can I say probably? But the skylights. The skylights are some of my favorite fucking things in this brewery.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're very cool. They're nice during the day. You see nice sunlight. But what they're actually here for is for these. It's for when we get tanks like this, we can actually bring a crane in through the skylight to be able to lift it into place, because we can't bring this standing up. We have to bring it on its side, but then a crane can come in through there and lift the tanks into place.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the idea. All through our brewery, all in here, there's skylights for that. It was always a plan of, where are we going to be in 10 years? Where are we going to be in 15? Not where are we going to be in 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Zeus Cordeiro, and I'm the general manager of the tap room here.
How long have you been here?
I've been here since the very beginning. I actually came from Cigar City in about 2014. I'd met these guys. Actually, funny story, they had actually come into Cigar City. They sat at my bar, and they're like, yeah, we're opening this big brewery in Ybor. And I had actually heard rumors of a bigger brewery opening in Ybor, and I was like, ooh, I heard that there was a bigger brewery opening there. There's something about like a 50-barrel system, and Kent and Casey were like, yeah, that's us. And I was like, huh. All right, guys, good luck. And they left that day, and I was like, these are the biggest idiots I've ever met in my life right there. Like, that's a terrible idea. Who the fuck opens a brewery with that size of a system? This is not going to go well. And then probably about a month later, there's like a Facebook post or some post online, and they're like, hey, we are nowhere close to being open. We are very far from it, but we've made some beer. If anybody wants to come to our office space, just try some beers, hang out, let us know what you think. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go. I need to try some of this stuff. And I came and I started drinking Casey's beers, and it shut me up quicker than I think I ever could have imagined. I was immediately like, yep, these guys are going to do great, and I want in. How do I get in? Immediately then, like, if you guys ever need any help, I've been in beer for a while, please let me know, please reach out, I'm here, I'm available. And then I didn't hear from them for a long time, and I was just like, whatever, they figured it out, I guess. They found somebody else, and one day randomly Kent calls me like, hey, Zeus, are you still interested by any chance? I know it's been a while. I was like, yep, yes, and yes, Kent.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
that's great.
This place is awesome. I was telling this is my first time here, and I didn't realize that you guys made free dive because I see that everywhere, which is really cool.
That was one of the very first days I actually worked here. Kent and Casey were like, all right, Zeus, you got to come try some of our beer so you don't feel like you've made a huge mistake leaving Cigar City and coming here. And I was like, all right, well, that's a good start. That's reassuring, guys. And but free dive was the first time I tried it. Like, I'm going to drink the shit out of this. Like, this is very fucking good. Same with Night Swim, too. Night Swim was one of those few beers
that... That's the dark one
we like Day
Swim.
Day Swim is incredible, too. I love Day Swim.
I'm obsessed with that.
But yeah, Night Swim was one of those beers. I don't feel like a lot of people in the brewing industry try to just do consistent porters. Everybody tries to do something really big or extravagant, or if it's a dark beer, it's going to have all this ridiculous adjuncts. Just give me a simple roasted porter, and I love it. And that was the first time I tried Night Swim. I was like, yep, this is going to fucking do great. This is awesome.
What's your biggest seller?
Free Dive. Free Dive and Unholy. I always say Free Dive does better in bars, restaurants. Unholy probably does better in packaged to-go beer because it turns out people don't want to drink a bunch of 9.5% beer when they're sitting at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Also, it helps that Unholy's in almost every Publix in the state of Florida.
Yes,
is it?
does.
Wow.
Yep.
It is.
It's
all over the place.
Unholy is in more Publix than Free Dive, but Free Dive is authorized. So any of you people that shop in a Publix,
Where shopping is a pleasure.
if you request it from the manager, they will bring it in.
Okay.
Night Swim, Free Dive, Unholy are Florida Special and Alpha Hunter series are all approved in Publix. Unholy's in most of them. Free Dive's in the second. Night Swim's third, but they're all authorized, so any manager can bring it in.
So we hope you enjoyed our tour with Rich and Zeus. And I just think it's so awesome how extensive that operation is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
From the brewing operation to the tap room to the event space to the office space. Remember with the Nintendo 64, the video games in there. And the lab and research and testing area. It's such a phenomenal operation. And I can't wait to go back.
Me too. I think that's the coolest thing I learned from the tour was that in inception, they decided to go big, knowing that they would grow into it, and they really have, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great vision.
That's what I took away from it. You know, I'm like, if I ever start a brewery, I'm gonna go big, like Coppertail.
What would we call it?
Oh my god. Definitely something Boozy Blondes.
The Boozy Blondes Brewery definitely jumps
that's
out.
just too easy.
I know.
I think
Triple B.
if we have to like do our drunken apology segment, and if it's gonna be poor choices, that is like such a good name for a brewery. We make a lot of poor choices or poor decisions.
Yeah, no, that's great and
Yep.
so punny, just like you.
We love our puns. It's time for our Fast Five. Okay, Molly, here is your fast 5 for Coppertail Brewing.
I'm ready.
Do you prefer Coppertail beers or sours?
Sours.
I was waiting for you to be like, they're the same.
We already did this game
I
before.
know. Did you like their cheese board or sausage board better?
The cheese board, always.
They were both so good.
They were, yeah.
Would you rather sit at the upstairs bar or the downstairs bar?
Ooh. I think I like the there's a lot more action in the downstairs bar, but I like our private spaces sometimes. So I would say upstairs.
Okay. And then would you rather work in the tap room or the brewing facility if you worked at Coppertail?
The tap room.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
Yeah, because you were like totally nerding out with some of the like tanks and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And would you rather start your night or end your night at Coppertail?
Can I just spend the whole day there?
Oh yeah, that's a perfect answer.
Okay. Day and night. Final
All
answer.
day.
Those are good questions. Okay. Ready for yours?
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite beer that you had there?
Definitely that rum honey. I was obsessed with it.
And which beer that you tried did you think had the most unique flavor?
Was it Day Swim? The other one we
the
took? Yeah.
the coffee porter.
Yeah, because I've tried a lot of coffee porters, and that one was just like so smooth. It almost was like a nitro.
You said it tasted like chocolate milk almost.
It
and you
did.
loved
Like,
it.
and I love anything that kind of has that creaminess without actually having lactose or milk in it. So I loved it.
Okay, next question. What piece of swag did you want to take home? Because I don't think we really got to
man.
shop.
So I wanted a hat, which they didn't have in stock. But not having seen them, seeing what they had there, either that tank top was super cute or Zeus's ridiculously soft hoodie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wanted to curl up in that thing.
That was ridiculously soft for sure. What was your favorite part of the tour?
Oh man, probably the cannery. I mean, I really liked when we got to walk through that part that they had like the airflow, negative airflow. I thought that was like super sciencey and cool, and I loved that they had those giant old like wine barrel looking tanks.
Yeah, those were awesome.
That was really impressive. Like I was just like, these are old world beautiful. But I was super impressed with their canning facility. I thought that was awesome.
Okay, last question. Who would you beer it forward to?
Oh man.
What?
What do you mean?
Pick me.
No, you were there with me. I'm like picking someone who's never been there before to like share
Okay.
the experience.
I thought this was a no-brainer.
No, all right, I'm going to pick the Saxtons because they're pretty close by and I feel like they would love it there.
Oh, yeah. Mike
and
and Bonnie. You
Drink.
should definitely stop by Coppertail when you
Yes.
get the opportunity. And we miss you guys.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think that's it. That's all we got from Coppertail this time.
This time. We're definitely going back. I loved it there.
I did too.
And thank you so much like for giving us that tour. It was so cool.
Yeah, Rich and Zeus, you guys are rock stars.
You're the
Thank
best.
you. Thanks for taking and spending so much time with us.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon with more boozy fun.
Well, and make sure to follow us on social media so you can get the drink of the day on Wasted Wednesdays. On Facebook, we're /Boozy Blondes. On the gram, we are at boozy.blondes. And on YouTube, we're /Boozy Blondes. Visit our website for recipes and references from each episode at www.boozyblondes.com. We'd love to hear from you, so send us an email sharing your boozy stories and requests and pictures at boozyblondespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a chance to drink with us. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and more. And don't forget to leave a review. The boozier, the better. If we love your toast to our show, we'll read it on air. Stay boozy.
Cheers.